past, if you like. Not in stone, not in great buildings, but in words and in paintings. A million people thronged these streets, said a song poet. There were restaurants as far as the eye could see. Everywhere there was music in the air. What would we give to see that age again? But we can still see Song Kai-fong in China's most famous work of art.
As historical sources go, this is one of the most fabulous that exist in the world. It's a scroll, it's nearly 20 feet long. I need to unroll it across the middle of the street if we were going to do that. It's simply a depiction of the city as it was just before 1127 by a court painter, and it's the life of the ordinary people. There is nothing like this in the whole of history. It gives you these streets, the alleyways, the hutons, the shops, the taverns and restaurants, all of the real places. Mr. Wang's house, the spice shop, Shen Yang's licensed tavern, Physician Zhao's residence, the sugarcane shop, Dr. Yang's clinic. An amazing image of sheer vitality of the Song Dynasty China.
Here, 400 years before the European Renaissance, with its commitment to human values, was a city dedicated to the prosperity and well-being of its people. A city for the many, not just the few. Not kings, warriors, or the church, but the lives of ordinary people. It's an image of themselves the Chinese have loved ever since. So much so that they couldn't resist bringing it back to life. A journey back into a golden age. As one citizen recalled.
There were such happy times. So many people and an abundance of things in the shops. The wonderful festivals. So many sights for the eye to enjoy. Above all, I remember the humane and congenial character of the citizens. Always ready to help a stranger.
A good time to live, do you think?
The lamp-lit nights, the sounds of music from the myriad taverns and wine bars. But you see then, this was a time of peace.
There are many legacies of the song in today's China, and one that's become celebrated across the world is Chinese cuisine. The song thought that people should be well fed, and eating became the great social ritual it is today.
Chinese cooking, of course, is one of the great cuisines in the world, and I mean, oldest cuisine in the world. But in beginnings, lie in poor people's food.
Here they fed both the posh and the working man.
People have had to get used to making the best out of whatever food source they could lay their hands on, and to make it palatable. But by the time of the Song Dynasty, it's the first great restaurant culture in the world. The Chinese people by then are the best fed people in the world, probably the best fed that had ever been in history. And there's wonderful accounts of the restaurant culture of the time. 70 great restaurants here in Kaifeng, of waiters rushing from table to table, taking the orders, rushing back from the hatch with 3 dishes of food down one arm and 20 bowls down the other. I've never been eating from the same bowl. And that in turn, of course, brings you a kind of foodie culture. They've got cookbooks back in so nasty. One of them has been reprinted ever since the last time in 2004. Pure recipes from the Mountain House Cookbook. Oranges stuffed with crab meat. Bean curd, steamed with hibiscus flowers. And each one of these recipes has got delightful notes by the author telling you where he first kicked it up. Take this one. Plum blossom noodle cake soup.
I picked up this recipe from an old scholar in the Zimao Mountains on a beautiful snowy night. And whenever I taste it, the exquisite moment comes flooding back to me.
In a restaurant in Old Clifton, we asked the chef to make one of these 11th century recipes, adapted for the vegetarian.
雪梨、莲子、银耳啊，这些东西都是有清热解毒的。
There's a type of mushroom, pear, and lotus seed.
Lotus seeds.
Yeah.
So you mix mushrooms and fruits. That's
追冷望
They have
呢
this
嗰
function
套
like
白衫白
the
褲，
deflammation.
由於認識你打個招呼。
味道很好，谢谢。
這樣挺好。
这是我们应该做的。
谢谢快吃。
慢慢遇上
That's
你，
right.
好
That's all
痛
right.
苦。
The Mountain House Cookbook was one of thousands of books you could buy in Kaifeng. Publishing boomed. From vast imperial encyclopedias to poetry.
打我電話了嗎？三架啊，誰的電話？拍，我自己的，沒有停的哈，我跟你講啊 ，no stop，no 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 stop，後面有車來好不好？
Poetry, history, ritual, and self-help manuals for the literate man and woman in the street. The Chinese had invented woodblock printing back in the Tang, one of many great inventions with which they led the world. And now in the Song, they devised movable type too, although that never took off in the same way.
First mention of this is slightly after 1040. A person called Bishan using clay to print with movable
走吧
typeset.
Let's go, mommy.
So
走吧。
each one of them is a Chinese character, and they would form part of the page in a frame.
But it wasn't taken up.
No,
Chinese made this invention, which has proved so useful to the rest of the world, but they didn't find it useful. Why?
it has to do with the Chinese characters, because there are so many of them, and say if you look at this page, almost every character is a different one. Economically, it wasn't viable. wasn't efficient, especially compared to just using a single one-part print.
Too cumbersome for such a vast range of characters.
Yes.
And you can see exactly why when East met West in the 20th century.